So you've heard of this concept of attachment and want to know a little bit more. What is it, and specifically, what are you? So if you don't know already, attachment it's a term that we use to describe a person's particular style of relating, particularly in their deep, important relationships. It is a pattern that starts when we're children, and it determines how our caregivers interact with us and how we learn to respond back to them. But then this pattern is continued when we become adults, and we really carry it into our primary romantic relationships. So kind of a common thing that you'll read in couples textbooks is we transfer our primary attachment to our romantic relationships. Okay, cool, but what does that mean? Well, let me tell you. We break down different attachment styles into 3 broad groups. We'll start with the easy ones. Stable attachment. And I really like to use a system of metaphors developed by Stan Tatkin. Genius, wonderful, wonderful work. If you have any interest in ever building a healthy, functioning romantic relationship, please check out his work. We Do is the book I highly recommend, as well as Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. But he uses a nice little metaphor, a nautical metaphor for each type. So that's how I'll be referring to them. Stable attachment he calls anchors. They are just secure, pretty easy, pretty solid in their own selves. Let me get back to anchors though. I think we can best understand them kind of in contrast with the other 2 types. If we're on a spectrum, the anchors are in the middle. So let me tell you about the opposites first. Let's start instead with what Stan calls waves, or anxious avoidant attachment types. What characterizes a wave? Well, back in childhood, these were folks who had caregivers that were inconsistent with their emotional and physical ability. That sometimes a caregiver was attuned and present, but sometimes not. Sometimes even dangerous or abusive. And so the key factor, the defining thing for wave children is a sense of instability. Not quite knowing where the ground is beneath our feet, walking on eggshells kind of feeling. I want to be able to rely on my caregivers and close others, but I don't quite know if they can. They might disappear at any moment. It's a very anxious, almost like an internal grasping kind of feeling. Islands, we cling. We don't want our people to leave. We want to keep them close. The deep fear is of being abandoned, being left again. And so in adult relationships, islands tend to move quickly toward intimacy. They want more intimacy. That's more comfortable with them. What's uncomfortable? Less intimacy. Backing off, moving away. That triggers their fear of abandonment, of, oh God, here it comes again. The anxious in anxious avoidant. So that's waves, briefly in a nutshell. You know who you are. Does this sound familiar? Anybody? Haha. Me. This is mine, by the way. So now on the other end of the spectrum, we have islands, or avoidant attachment types. The key theme for island children were caregivers who were too much, smothering, overprotective, a lot of violating personal boundaries for that child, or sometimes just straight up abusive, of course. And so island children and later island adults tend to cope by really withdrawing from intimacy, becoming an island unto themselves, and more avoiding of intimacy. So for islands, what is easy is less intimacy. What is hard is stepping into more intimacy. Can you hear it? Isn't it poetic? The exact opposite. what is comfortable and easy for waves is very uncomfortable for islands, and vice versa. So now that we understand these, here we are in the middle, the anchors. Caregivers were responsive and attuned, not too much, not too little. Anchor adults and children can comfortably move into intimacy, and they can comfortably move out of intimacy. They feel stable and secure within their own selves. Isn't it lovely? And I think that most of us, we tend to be, I mean, not just one thing. This is a spectrum. So in therapy with clients, really in my head, we're all kind of more an island or more a wave. To me, the interesting question is like, when things get really hard and the wheels fall off, how do you tend to react? Do you tend to react by distancing and pulling back, or do you tend to react by like reaching out for more, clinging for support? And that'll kind of tell you island or wave. All right, so I hope this was helpful for you guys. Post your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Say hi to your fellow islands and fellow waves, and follow up, stay tuned for more. This is just the smallest little drop in the ocean of attachment, because guess what? It's not just about your romantic relationships. Your attachment style plays out in so much else. It's very cool. So check out videos to be posted for more. All right, thanks, bye.